Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shelby and today I'm going to be starting my first writing vlog. So on this channel I do a lot about book recommendations and bookish lifestyle, but I don't think I've ever done like a ton on writing, and it is something that I love to do. Every single year I participate in NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, where you challenge yourself to write 50,000 words in the month of November. It is so challenging every year, but I always have such a good time doing it. But after NaNoWriMo, I kind of just like leave those drafts in the dust. I don't really look at them again, usually because they are so messy, because you're just trying to get 50,000 words on a page within 30 days, which is really hard. And even though I use the month of October usually to do Preptober, which is prepping the novel, I usually only come up with those book ideas like in October. So I decided to try something different this year. So I have had this book idea in my head for a really long time. Like, you know, when you're trying to go to sleep or you're in class and really bored, your mind kind of takes you to a different world or into like dream scenarios. Well, I've been using the same dream fantasy scenario in my head for about 10 years to fall asleep or to distract myself when I'm bored in class. And I've never really wanted to put it on paper because like I don't know what that looks like. It's just this story that I've come up with in my mind that I've told myself 1,000 different times. And I love the story, but it's kind of frightening to put this magical story on paper. And especially when you yourself are at the main center of that book. When I'm thinking of that book, I'm the main character. And when I'm writing the book, I'm not the main character. I have to figure out a new main character. So I've always just had all these worries about actually writing this book. But I decided it's time to suck it up. If I want a novel I'm going to stick with from the first draft to the final draft, it has to be something that I'm passionate about and that I want to stick with. And I think that this is really the only story in my head right now that I'm going to want to stick with because it's just so wholeheartedly me. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna write that novel for NaNoWriMo this year, and I'm gonna start prepping it now even though it is September, because I want to be all ready when November 1st happens. So this is kind of like the intro to me prepping this novel, and the writing vlogs will continue through November, and I'm hoping to post more writing vlogs on the channel so that if you are also new to like hardcore like writing a book, we can kind of take that journey together. So that's what this video is. I first thought I would tell you guys what I usually do to prep a book that I'm going to write for NaNoWriMo, and then move in to a little bit about the book I am writing now. So, as I said, usually I start prepping the books I'm going to write in November during October, or Preptober as people in the NaNoWriMo community call it. And that usually consists of using a lot of templates and world building ideas that NaNoWriMo graciously provides. They have a really great set of worksheets for you to go through to kind of shape your characters, your world, your story, that all get you kind of ready for November 1st. Some people do not like to plot. Some people are what are called pantsers, which means you just like go with the flow and you write as it comes to you. I am not like that. I need a plan, I need a plot, I need to have a good sense of who I am writing before I write them. So I am definitely a plotter, and what I've been using in the past to write these books is first the app called Notion, which is essentially an organization and writing app. I mean, you can really use Notion for anything. It's a wonderful tool. I personally found a template online from the Hardback Hoarder, and I will link her channel down below, but it is a specific NaNoWriMo tracking template that allows you to kind of plan out your book and to kind of have all of your information in one place. And it also works as kind of a backup drive, so you can back up your work, which is very important. So I use Notion to organize and plan my writing. For the actual writing, I do use a paid app thing. I use Scrivener, which is a really great tool for writing books because it has this really specific interface for writing novels where you can keep track of your outlines, your characters, your like mood boards, your writing in a really easy way. But I didn't always use Scrivener. When I was first starting out with NaNoWriMo, I just used a Google Doc. But once you win NaNoWriMo and get to those 50,000 words, you get discounts on a lot of great applications, including Scrivener. So when the first time I won NaNoWriMo, I decided to treat myself to this Scrivener database. So that is what I have, but I have used Google Docs before and love it all the same. Something new I am trying this year is writing out some of my plots and plans physically in a notebook. I've never done this before. I've never kind of written out a book or a world. I always go straight for the computer, but my friend Sadie from Sadie Joyful showed me her writing notebook when I went to visit her in August, and I loved it so much. I loved how it kind of had this like mad scramble of all her thoughts on the page. It was so interesting to flip through and then read part of her book and see that come to life. So I decided to go to Paper Source. I got this really cute notebook. I love like the hands and like the celestial imagery with the flowers. I think it's really good for the fall. Super cute. And I've started plotting and writing my world in this notebook, and it has been so much fun and so messy. But looking at it right now, it's kind of just like an organized mess, and it's my mess, which I love. I figure when I get further into the notebook, I'll maybe give a tour of what it is so far, because right now it's a lot of like mood boards I've made and information about the magic system and the world. I drew a little map. There she is of the world I'm building, so I'm doing like a full fantasy world here, so it requires a lot more research and knowledge of this world before I can go ahead and write. So I've been doing family trees and kingdoms and kingdom aesthetics. I have a whole page here that is just names I could potentially use later. Like I have a huge list of like fantasy and normal names to use for characters, and I have a huge list of names I could use for places in this world that I'm just gonna cross out as I use. So for the majority of those names, I use like a random fantasy name generator because I suck at coming up with names, and those fantasy generators do really good jobs. So where I am right now in my process is I'm creating character profiles. I have 2 done for my 2 main characters, and I'm starting to kind of write out the supporting character profiles. I want to make sure I have one on anyone who really has any like even tiny part in this book. I want to know their motivation. I want to know them so that when I write them, I feel like it'll come easier, I guess. I don't know. But in these character profiles, I'm recording the name, birthday, age, hair and eye color, occupation, height, body type, gender identity, sexuality, strengths, weaknesses, motivation, and goals of the characters, just to give me kind of an overview to flip back through about these characters. And I think for the main characters, I will go more in depth on them. So that is all that's in my writing notebook right now. As I said, I'm just getting started on my characters, and I've also started my Pinterest mood board because having a visual is also really helpful for me for writing. I'm much better at like describing things I see and I know rather than describing something in my head. I don't know why. So I've started looking at character illustrations or illustrations that I think fit my characters and the world that I'm creating, and I've started putting them into all these different files. So I have really been working on that as well. So I think my next step is probably going to be to start creating a timeline of the story or some kind of really, really rough outline of how I want the story to go. So I think that's going to be next, which is kind of terrifying, but it is September, so tons of time before NaNoWriMo actually starts. As for the story itself, I am thinking of doing a book that kind of takes place in 2 timelines, which is so crazy, and it's actually going to take a lot of work because my plan is to write the entire story in chronological order and then chop it up and rearrange it. I don't know how else to get that kind of interspersed timeline in there, so that's what I'm planning on doing for the actual writing, and I think that's actually going to be kind of fun. So looking forward to that. But essentially it's about a girl who falls into this fantasy world, or finds herself in this fantasy world, and is caught up in this major war. And at the end of it, she is mistakenly, accidentally, or purposely, I don't know yet, but somehow she ends up back in our world. And she is left there for a year as she's trying to forget about her life in this fantasy world. But one day, the door opens again and she goes back to this land where everything has kind of gone to shit. And she has to work together once again to help. So I'm thinking about having these two timelines throughout the book, and I am just really excited about it because that's kind of what I was seeing in my head. That's the story I was telling myself. I am being super vague right now, but I will be more specific in future videos. Yeah, that's kind of the plan for this kind of writing series I'm doing. I am so sorry this video was so rambly. I had no plan. I kind of just turned the camera on and sat in front of it, and I'm like, let's talk about writing. So I still have so much to figure out. I have so much that I want to kind of think through before, you know, I actually start putting my hands on the keyboard. But you guys will hopefully be there with me every step of the way. So I'm really excited about this writing vlog series. Once again, so sorry for like the rambly introduction, but it's gonna be great. Let me know down below if you are planning to participate in NaNoWriMo, if you have ever participated in NaNoWriMo, or if you're just excited for this writing series, because I know I am. And that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Hit the notification bell to get updates on when I post. I post every single week, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!